Way too many growers tell you to put 2 tomato seeds in each cell when you're sowing seeds, and you're not going to find that information in my video because I actually consider that to be a total waste of seeds. And there's also one other tip that you hear in all of these videos that you're not going to hear in mine. And I'm going to take you through all of that in today's video, where it's just going to be a quick and dirty video on how to sow tomato seeds so that way you can get amazing tomato seeds this summer. This is a very timely video because it's actually time to start your tomato seeds right now. Over the years, I've learned that around the end of March is the best time to be starting tomatoes, especially for my zone 5 and zone 6 areas that I've been growing in, because I hate tomatoes that are way too big that I have to be potting up over and over again. And of course, nobody wants too small of tomato plants. So now is the optimum time to be starting them. So I'm going to show you exactly how to pick the varieties you want, what the difference is between all the different varieties, and just how to sow them. If you're new here, my name is Bree from Urban Gardening Canada, and I garden in Ottawa Zone 5. Now, the most basic advice you hear in every tomato growing video is that there are 2 types of tomatoes that you could be growing, and that is indeterminate and determinate varieties. And this is very, very true, but I actually like to break my tomatoes up into 4 different types of tomatoes. And that is indeterminate, determinate, micro tomatoes, and wild tomatoes. Technically, wild tomatoes fall under the indeterminate variety, but you can't even begin to understand or comprehend how indeterminate wild tomatoes are until you grow your own varieties. And micro tomatoes grow under the determinate version, but I do believe that there is a difference between a Roma tomato that's a determinate and a micro tomato or a patio variety. They're really different in size, and so although it falls under these categories, they're far enough outside of it that I would like to say that there are 4 varieties as a casual way to describe it. So knowing this means that you can decide what you want to grow. First, you want to decide on how you want to use your tomatoes because the varieties will matter based on how you hope to use it. So if you really like slicer tomatoes that go on a piece of toast or in a sandwich, then you want to grow a big, large tomato variety. If you have a really small growing space, then you might want to choose a patio or micro tomato variety because they can fit in really small pots. Or if you're like me, I really want to get into canning more. So for me, growing Roma varieties or any variety that's really good for tomato sauce is high on my priority list, as is sun drying. I love sun-dried tomatoes. So for me, I grow varieties that are made specifically for sun drying because these are really expensive in the grocery store. So I make sure to grow as many as I can that I can dry. So I have a wide selection of seeds in front of me. Most of these are actually seed saved because tomatoes are the easiest to seed save from. I have a video on how to do that when we get to the end of the year. You might want to watch that. So I have plants like Hungarian Heart, and this is a really large beefy tomato that is actually used for paste, but it's so big that you can use it on sandwiches as well. So this one's a really versatile type of variety that you can grow. Principe Bourgeois, this one here, is very specific to sun drying. So this one I grow very, very specifically for sun drying purposes. And then I have a boatload of Romas specifically for paste. But in the terms of micro tomatoes, I have a Rosy Finch, and then I had seed saved another one here. And then I have white currant tomatoes, and these are also essentially called coyote tomatoes, and these are wild varieties, and it is a yellow cherry tomato. Do not grow wild varieties unless you have a ton of space and you want it to come back forever and ever. To me, gifting somebody a wild tomato plant is like gifting your enemy something to ruin their lives, because these coyotes or any type of wild tomato will come back year after year, hundreds of plants, and the plants just grow bigger than any tomato plant I've ever seen in my life. It will take over your garden. You can prune it and it doesn't matter. It just comes back with a vengeance. But there are some people out there, I've sold these seedlings to people and they come back to me specifically to buy more seedlings because they love it so much, because it produces like nothing you've ever seen before. One of these wild tomato plants, I could pick off like a huge bowl's worth every like 3 days. It was insane, the production that it gave. So this is something that If you love to eat fresh tomatoes and you can't get enough and you always run out, a wild tomato is the choice for you, but it has to have a lot of space because it's going to take over everything. Otherwise, choosing a determinate variety is better for a small amount of space, and indeterminate varieties are good if you have lots of space to grow in. So there are a few tools that make growing tomatoes from seed a lot easier, and that is having a humidity dome and a heat mat. Your tomatoes will still germinate whether you have this or not, but it will speed it up by quite a few days. You can get your tomatoes germinating within like 2-3 days when they are on that heat mat and the humidity dome. But if you don't have these and you still want to capture that same experience, you can use things like muffin clamshells, the salad clamshells that you can buy small salads in, or you can use a takeout container that has a clear lid. So those lids are always going to act the same as a humidity dome. And then you can just put it in a super sunny window or on a heat register, and that is going to act the same as a heat mat. The only difference is that, especially if you use a heat register, is that it doesn't put out consistent heat because your furnace turns off and on, and it's going to put out a hotter heat than your heat mat does. So it's better to just put it near the register than it is to put it on top of it, but that is going to help warm up the soil and germinate it a lot faster for you. So this is just an alternative that you can use if you don't have access to a heat mat or a humidity dome, or you're not quite ready to invest in one. So before we get into the actual planting of the tomato seeds, I did want to talk about my beginner gardener's ebook that I have available for you. This ebook is comprehensive, and it's going to provide you all of the building blocks that you need to become a better gardener. If this is your first or second year growing plants, or even if you've been casually dabbling for the last 3 or 4 years, this book is really going to give you all of the key information that you need to grow your garden successfully this year. It's going to take you to that next level where if you're feeling a little confused or overwhelmed on where to start or how to do it right, this book is going to give you all of the confidence that you need to be able to grow a really great garden. If this is something that interests you, I'll leave it in the description below, or you can scan the QR code that's on the screen. And now let's get into actually planting these tomato seeds. Okay, let's first talk about the 2 things that every seed planting video tells you to do that I'm not going to tell you in this video. And the first one is to put 2 seeds in each of these cells. I'm never ever going to tell you to do that because all of these seed packets tell you a germination rate on them. So for example, this San Marzito variety that I have here, the germination rate on it is 94%. Like, you can't get closer to 100% than that. So every time someone tells you to plant 2 seeds into each of these cells, just in case or as a backup for if one doesn't germinate, you are really just wasting these seeds because it's pretty well guaranteed to germinate. The only reason that your tomatoes aren't going to germinate is if they are incredibly old, or if you really just did something really wrong when you were planting them, which is hard to do. Tomato seeds have a viability lifespan of over 10 years, so the germination rate will decline a little bit, but when you already start at this high, you are pretty well guaranteed to have 100% of them come up, 94%. So every time you see a video that says put 2 seeds into each of them, when both of them come up, cut one off and kill it, would never ever say that. There's only 10 seeds in this seed packet. So I would have to plant this entire seed packet into here, and then I would be killing off half of them. That's a huge waste of money. So for me, that's a huge no, and you should just put 1 seed into each of these cells. The second thing is to use pre-moistened soil. I also will never tell you to do that because I hate working indoors with wet and dirty hands. It is a sensory issue for me. So if this is you, then you don't want to do this either. I don't like working with wet soil. I don't want to be touching wet soil. I hate having to clean soil hands in my indoor sink. I hate all of it. And so I work with dry soil. It's not like dead bone dry because it is a new bag of worm casting, so it has a little bit of moisture to it, but instead I actually just have a bottle of water here that I pour into the bottom of the tray because the soil is going to wick up the water from below and it's going to naturally moisten the soil for me without my hands having to get dirty. And this is a really good habit to get into for a couple of reasons. Bottom watering is way easier to do. And also it is better for the plants when they do start finally growing, because the roots are going to go all the way to the bottom and in search of that water. And so you're actually building really strong roots. So by starting this way, it's right off the get-go, you're building the right habit. Okay, so before we get into planting the seeds, I didn't mention the type of soil that you should be using in here. So you want to be using a seed starting soil and not soil that you've dug up from outside in your garden. And the reason for that is you want the soil to be sterile, because the seeds are really susceptible to different types of bacteria, fungus, diseases. So you really want to have a sterile soil. You can buy a seed starting soil from the store. If you're really new to gardening and you want the easiest route, then just buy that. But if you have grown seeds for a little while, I really recommend making your own seed starting soil, because the stuff you buy from the stores is full of peat, and peat is really environmentally damaging. So I do have a video, plus I have an article on my website on how to make your own peat-free seed starting soil. You can't buy peat-free seed starting soil at the stores right now. They just don't have that as an option. So you have no choice but to make your own. But it's actually really simple to do. And I prefer to make my own than I do to buy it, because I have a lot more control over the ingredients. I wasn't able to find coco coir this time around. So if you notice in my soil, there is newspaper in there. So I've created my soil with perlite, worm castings, and newspaper. And this is an experiment for this year to figure out if the newspaper is a good alternative from peat or from coco coir, since it is really good at holding in moisture. And that is what the role of both coco coir and peat does. Once you fill up your containers with the soil, then we're just going to put our seeds on the top of each of these. And again, just honestly do one. I think it's bananas to waste seeds unless you have boatloads of them and you're willing to separate them out after. But I personally hate separating out seedlings. It's one of my least favorite tasks to do. So then I tend to procrastinate on it and leave the plants in there too long, which can stress them out or stunt them. So for me, it just makes a lot more sense to put them into the right size container where I can let them grow for a long period of time before I have to up pot, because I absolutely hate up potting. And then from here, there isn't always the same rule for seeds, but it's really similar, that you plant a seed at a depth that is 2 times the size of the seed. So if the seed is 1 millimeter in size, you don't want to plant more than 2 millimeters. And it's always better to plant a little too shallow than a little too deep, because there's only so much energy that exists in these seeds that if you plant it too deep, they have to expel too much energy to make it to the surface. So when in doubt, shallow out a little bit, but again, it's not too big of a deal. So again, because I don't like getting my hands dirty, I like to use a pencil or a popsicle stick, and I'm just gonna lightly press it down and then cover it with soil. And then the other thing about bottom watering is that if you don't use pre-moistened soil and you decide to pour the water from over top, it can actually displace the seed. And so I never recommend pouring water directly on top of your soil, but rather just always pouring it from below. Also, don't forget to label your plants, because it is easy as you're potting them up to lose the labels on them. And if you are growing them for yourself and you really want to know the varieties, you don't want to mess the labels up. If you're like me, I really don't care what the labels are, because as they start to grow, I know what I planted. But if you are planning on selling seedlings, it's really, really, really important to make sure that you label your seeds properly and keep on top of that. If you do ever want to sell seedlings and make a little bit of extra money, I have a video out that I will link below for you guys to check that one out as well. And I just use a popsicle stick because it is an affordable option, it's eco-friendly, and it does have its drawbacks. Like sometimes the words will blur and I can't read them anymore, but for me, it's not a huge deal. The only thing you do have to do is break off the stick, because otherwise the stick will hold the humidity dome up and you don't get quite as much humidity into there, which is not a great thing. And then I'm just going to top up with water because I didn't pour enough in the first time. Cover it with a humidity dome like this. and then you are going to place it on a heat mat. The heat mat is going to stay plugged in 24/7 until the plants germinate, and same with the humidity dome. You will keep this on 24/7. But once 70% of your plants start popping up, you're going to take the humidity dome off and you're going to remove the heat mat, because once the seeds have germinated, if you keep the humidity dome on, it's hard for them to get access to light, and the humidity is a great environment for bacteria and fungus to grow, which can kill your plants. And the heat mat, same thing. That heat and humidity is just going to put you at risk for killing your plants from a disease like damping off. And again, once they germinate and you start seeing a little bit of greenery, you want to put them under grow lights, because it's really important that they get access to light right away. It won't take very long for your seeds to germinate. It could take as little as 3 to 4 days. So you want to keep an eye on them to make sure that they don't pop up and then you don't have light on them and they get leggy. Luckily, tomatoes are really easy to fix if they do get leggy, and I have a video out that I will link below for you guys if this situation ends up happening to you. And then again, in other videos, you see people talking about fertilizing their seedlings, and this is not something that I have ever done. I don't fertilize my seedlings for a few reasons. It's really complicated because it's very easy to over fertilize them since they're really small. As long as you're up potting them into nutritious soil after they've gotten 2 to 3 true leaves, that new soil in that pot is going to provide them everything that they need to keep growing. The third thing is that I am so particular about when I start my seedlings that they don't run out of nutrition. If you end up starting your seedlings a month too early and they're 2-3 feet tall, then yes, you can fertilize your plants, because you need to make sure that they have enough nutrition to get out into the garden. But if you follow a timeline such as this, like starting at the end of March, and then you get 2-3 sets of true leaves on your tomatoes and you pot them up into a 4-inch pot of good quality soil, then you don't have to worry about this, because you're going to be planting them out within a few weeks' time. And that means that they have enough time to grow in that 4-inch pot and get the nutrition they need. When I pot mine up, I just go a higher worm castings amount in my seed starting mix. I just alter how much cocoa coir to worm castings. I reduce the cocoa coir and increase that worm castings just to give them that pop of nutrition. And no fertilizing is required. It saves you money, it saves you time, and it saves you the stress of accidentally over fertilizing your plants. And then from here, you're just going to let your plants happily grow. If the leaves ever touch the grow lights, make sure you increase your grow lights. You never want them to be more than 2 inches above your plant. But if the leaves do touch the lights, there is a potential for them to get burnt from them. So always keep about a 2-inch gap between wherever the size of your plant is and the top of the lights. And you're going to let them grow until it comes time to harden them off out in the spring. I'm not going to cover that in today's video because it's too far away from now that you're just going to forget about it, and it's easier to have more relevant information in the time. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Next week, I'll be putting out a video on what seeds to be sowing in April, and that one is going to be our bounty of seeds. That is when the most seeds get planted in the soil. So you're definitely going to want to put on the notifications if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.